The mists are clearing. I see a great season for West Ham ahead, and egg and chips for tea. Hi gang, welcome to Mike on Monday, the West Ham show, which is on a Monday and done by a bloke called Mike. Today we're going to be taking a good look at the season ahead, but first let's have a look at what's been happening at West Ham for the last couple of weeks. That way, let's go. Yes gang, it's been a couple of weeks of pre-season friendlies and the team are looking a lot fitter than they ever did under Slaven Bilic, though that's not that hard. I mean, under Bilic our pre-season training appeared to be a quick jog and a cuddle. The team appear to also be playing as a unit, and by that I don't mean they're covered in Formica, but they are sort of starting to gel as one. There have been some impressive performances, notably Marko Arnautovic, no great surprise there, is it? He was great for the second half of last season after all, and Balbuena looks like a real steal at 3 million. But overall, it's been highly encouraging. We've not been beaten very often, and we've played some good football occasionally, and we've kind of fluked wins occasionally. But yeah, it's been very interesting. Their team look really very different than they did last season. And you're going to say, hardly surprising. There's a lot of new players, but ultimately, thinking about it, they actually are operating as a team in a very different way. They look like they've got a plan. Shocking, I know, but we look like there is some sort of ethos, some would call it philosophy, some would call it intent in the team. Chicharito has departed. He's gone to Crystal Palace for what, 9.5 million or something up front. There's a bit of debate. Some people think we should have kept him, some people think he should have gone. I personally couldn't ever see Chicharito fitting in with Pellegrini's style of play. And Chicharito's great weaknesses were his movement off the ball and his passing, which isn't really going to help him fit in with Pellegrini's pass and move style, is it? I mean, it's just not going to happen. It's going to be like the most unfortunate incident since I went to the fairground and came home with a boil in the bag goldfish. I can't really see what he would have done. He wouldn't have got any game time anyway, and to be honest with you, he's best gone. Last season he had one really good performance after he was kicked in the head in the opening minutes, and unless we want to set up some sort of unfortunate kick him in the head before he goes on thing, I can't really see how it'd work, and I'm sure there's some sort of right against that kicking people in the head thing. Some people have been shocked by the amount of money the board have spent this summer. Some people saw it as the biggest surprise since we discovered that Sue Barker was Chew Barker's mum. But personally speaking, I'm really grateful that they have spent that kind of money, but they have been saving up for a number of years, haven't they? I mean, ultimately we've had not spent money in the last couple of seasons, and now we have. But I think the arrival of Pellegrini really made a big difference there. Once you brought in a money, paying money for that kind of manager, then you might as well spend money on the team. Otherwise, what's the point? But I am saying a big congratulations to the board really for forking out. At least I've done it this time, and it looks like it's been done with some sort of like cohesive idea at the base of it. Well, a lot of last season I moaned about the board, and I admit that, and I really, my biggest complaint wasn't about them as owners, it was them being the director of football, and I still stand by that. I don't think they were doing a particularly good job of that, and they by bringing in Julios, I believe that's how you say it, Julios, you have to do that face, Julios, to be the director of football has changed everything for us, and allows David Sullivan especially to step back a bit and run the club, which he actually isn't that bad at doing. You look at the kind of commercial revenue that he brings in and that sort of stuff, he's actually quite good at doing that. He's quite good at bringing money in, it's spending it where he falls down. But he's done really well this year for having brought them in, and it needed that kind of investment. I could see moving forward next season we probably wouldn't need that kind of investment, assuming a lot of these things work out. We've obviously brought in a Mini William. I mean, you think about it, if you look at Philip Anderson, he's got that sort of English sounding name, he's got the hair, he's a Brazilian winger, and I'm just really hopeful that he turns out to be as good as purchase as William was for Chelsea. He certainly has got the skills in the bag, so to speak, and let's hope he's not the biggest disappointment since I got a load of flattened cardboard for Christmas and had to explain to my mum that there's a big difference between an Xbox and an Xbox. Now, I'm really excited about the start of the season. Can't wait to get down to the first home game and see us actually in the flesh playing at the London Stadium against Bournemouth. But before then, we've got Liverpool away. And it's because of that, and then our next game after the Bournemouth one is Arsenal away. In fact, we've got a reasonably horrific opening round of fixtures. I can see it's going to be quite difficult for us to pick up a lot of points to start with. Also, we are gelling a new team, and by that I don't mean we're trying to do their hair for them. We are actually trying to get there's 7 new players coming to the squad, and I suspect probably at least 4 or 5 of them will actually be in the starting team. It's going to take Pellegrini a long time, well, at least a good few games to get them playing together and really working together. Now, much as I've got a lot of faith in Pellegrini, and I think we're going to have a really good season, it might start off quite slowly, so I hope people don't get too despondent, because we are all excited for the start of the season. What I'd like to see is some good performances, and don't worry if we're suddenly, or I'm not going to worry too much anyway, if we find ourselves in the bottom 5 or something after the first 6 games, because ultimately this is a really hard opening section for us with a new team. I think we'll pick up a lot more points as the season goes on, but all I'm saying is don't become despondent, you know what I mean? Anyway, looking ahead at the season, we have got some guests who are going to be looking at how we're going to get on, and I'm always one, right? I'm always one who likes to look outside the usual way of looking at the world, as you probably know. And I thought we'd invite a special friend of mine, Mystic Mike, who's going to look into the future and see what's ahead for us this season. So let's see what Mr. Mike's got to say, shall we? He's over there. The mists are clearing. I see Lucy Wolsey running along a beach in nothing but a bikini. And wait, the bikini has fallen off. Oh no, that's last night's dream. As I gaze into the crystal rock, I see claret shirts playing football on the floor with pace and excitement. Thousands of people in Stratford cheering them on. I see roars of the crowd and sighs of disappointment. I see everything. I see Andy Carroll returning to full fitness. Oh no, wait, that's faded. I see a mixture of victory and defeat. I see a comfortable mid-table existence for the Hammers. And I see the Beatles reforming with the dead ones included, return to life. I see everything. Mystic Mike for you guys, and I would just like to point out that he did predict that the revolving mosque would be a complete disaster. No one knew which way to pray. So he's got form for this kind of stuff. Now, in the pre-season friendlies, Pellegrini has largely lined up with a 4-3-3 kind of shape. I think largely because he only had one real striker to put on, and that's Arnautovic, who, let's face it, is a converted winger anyway. What would he do when he had 2 strikers? Well, when Chicharito came back, he immediately switched to a 4-2-2-2. Is that the right number? 4-2-2-2. Look, 4-2-2-2 is a 4-4-2. That's it. It's just that you're saying the wingers are further up, but they're wingers, so they would be. Anyway, he did 4-2-2 in that game. How would he line up against Liverpool? What kind of shape would he use in the future? There's only one place we can go for this kind of info, isn't there, gang? And you know where that is. Let's go and see what Mike's got to say at the Tactics Centre looking ahead for the season. Mike, what do you reckon? Thanks, Mike. Hi folks, welcome to the Tactics Centre. So far in pre-season, Manuel Pellegrini has alternated between a 4-3-3. This one has Andy Carroll playing up front. We'll take that out and replace him with Arnautovic. And a 4-4-2. Who and how will he play it this season in general? I think he'll switch between the two. personally quite a lot. I think we've seen the end of the back five, which we were experiencing before. This is the brick that is Balbuena, who I think will play a big part this season. The other thing to remember here is that Pellegrini will be using tactics to outfox the opposition. I predict that Manuel Pellegrini will attempt to lay siege to some of the opposition teams, keeping the ball and passing it well, while at the same time keeping the ball on the floor to play some real football. But tactics will definitely be used. What tactics do you think he will be able to use against Liverpool? Well, here is what I think he'll do. Let's have a look at what we think we'll do when we line up. There you go, it looks more like a 1-6-2 shape. There you go, very experimental, doesn't actually add up to 10 either. Let's make that 1-7-2. There you go, and that's my prediction for the game against Liverpool. Thanks so much for watching, and back to Mike in the studio. Mike. Fantastic stuff there from Mike at Tactics Centre, and I think that really does open the whole debate about the tactical solution that Pellegrini will be looking for up, and really answers a lot of questions. Great stuff there. And at this point, it's probably a good idea to give some of my predictions for this season coming. Where do I think West Ham are going to finish? It's the important one. Anywhere between 10th and 8th would be my final prediction. And I'd be more than happy with that. Any more than that, and I think we've done exceptionally well, like way beyond what we should be achieving at this point. And anything say less than 12th, I'd be disappointed. But I predict between 10th and 8th. Last season I predicted 12th, I got very close, didn't I? And pardon me. And who do I think is going to do well this season? I think Manchester City will win the league again. I think Liverpool will push them close and finish second, and the other top four will probably be Arsenal and Man United. I think that the relegated teams, it's a tough call, there's a whole heap of teams could go down. I'm going to go with Cardiff, Huddersfield and Newcastle, who I think will dissolve when Benitez resigns, which I think is coming. Just to contrast, last season I go, as I say, called West Ham 12th, thought Man United were going to win the league, and I got all of the relegated teams wrong, so I wouldn't listen to me if I were you. And nobody else does, so there you go. Now, do bear in mind, of course, that this show is recorded on Monday. It's called Mike on Monday. Clue is in the title, but transfer window is still open. I think it closes on Thursday at 5 o'clock, and we could still see a few new arrivals. I don't think we're going to see any major departures, though I do think Hugo will go, and I do think Sam Byron will go either on loan or for actual money. And we could do with them going. I don't think anyone wants to buy Eddie Fernandez, but I do think we do need somebody else in midfield, but not, as a lot of people are saying, the defensive midfield. I'm more worried about what happens if Wilshere gets injured or just needs a rotation out. Is he really going to play in every single game? Because at the moment there isn't anyone who can take his position per se in the centre of park and do that kind of pass and move playing the ball thing. The other thing to remember when looking at the season in a whole is we are missing one of our very best players in Lanzini. I think a lot of people have forgotten the fact that he is still there, albeit badly injured. He won't be back till some point next year. But he was one of our very best players last season, I felt, and I'm a huge Lanzini fan and can't wait to have him back. And I hope he does return as good a player as he was. And but yeah, it will be exciting to see what Pellegrini does with him when he does come back. But don't forget, he is missing. He's a big loss for us. And yeah, so I will be interested to see who he does bring in that position, because obviously I think Lanzini would be the perfect person to replace Wilshere. Do we need somebody else there? What do you think? Leave your comments below and let me know. Do you think we need another defensive midfielder? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I've got a feeling though. We've got Obiang who can kind of do that role. Declan Rice has looked very, very good there. And yeah, there is nothing but optimism for me, even though I think we're going to lose quite a lot of our own games. But that is to be expected almost, because we are really moulding a new team here. Also got a special guest all the way from Russia, Mikhail, who is, well, he did a World Cup report for us, so I thought we'd have him back and give us what his thoughts on West Ham are this season. Mikhail, what do you reckon? What do you think is going to happen? Greetings from Moscow in summer. Yes, and so we have much excitement here because of League of Premier starts in the England soon. Your League of Premier is not as good as our Socialist People's Republic League of the Workers here in Russia, but still we like. I predict this season, because we are up to date with a bang on your league. So I predict this season, and I am always right, that the league winners of your League of Premier will be the Rovers of Blackburn, and your Golden Boot, so called because you are fascist pigs, will be Alan of Shearer. West Ham will be promoted. I think so. Yes, and so that is my predictions for the Premier League. Greetings from warm and hot for us anyway, Moscow. Yes, and so. Thanks, Mikhail. Mikhail there, just back from his latest rally at Kick Football out of racism over there in Russia. No, I'm joking, Russia, I'm joking. You were lovely over the World Cup. Yeah, so you guys have been very, very kind. Now, I always say this in shows, like, if you got any questions, you can get hold of me at WHU Mike on Twitter. You can follow me under my own name, Mike Nair, on Facebook, or leave questions below in the comment section. And a lot of you have, and I'm going to have a quick look at them now and go over them. Once again, gang, thanks so much for all of your comments you've left below and the tweets you've been sending me and messages, etc. Let's start with Alice Fox. She asks, is it fair that Trent Alexander-Arnold has so many names while Fred and Pele have only got one? Well, Alice, that's an important, burning, topical question for the day, and he raises a really valid point. I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold's actual full name is Trent John Alexander-Arnold. I mean, it's not even half of it, is it? John Alexander-Arnold are all Christian names. Trent is a river. I mean, what is he thinking? I mean, you've got 3 Christian names you could be using instead. You're using a river. Not even Terence Trent D'Arby, the long ago one album wonder, managed to put Trent as a Christian name, though he did marry Trent and D'Arby together and they're nowhere near each other, so that was a bit daft anyway. So in answer to you, it's greatly unfair and it's a name travesty, Alice. I can only agree with you. Our next question is from Jack Hammer, is what he's saying. So I've seen what you've done there, Jack. Very good, Jack and Hammer. Jack, have you? Anyway, he said, I've seen you on the boats. Are you an alcoholic? I do like a drink or two, but to be honest with you, Jack, no, I'm not an alcoholic. Don't worry. I just have a very unusual hobby, and that's collecting empty bottles. So I think that kind of explains that. Yeah, but, no, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not. I just like a drink when I'm out. But thanks anyway, Jack, for your concern. Lastly, our last question for today comes from Martin Smith, and he asks a relevant football question. He asks, exactly where is the money coming from? Now, I'm assuming you're talking about the spend on players here, Martin, and the answer is, as I said earlier, they didn't spend any money for the last couple of seasons, and apparently David Gold and David Sullivan are guaranteed a £50 million overdraft, and so I think this is the point. As I said earlier, they needed to invest, and probably over the next couple of seasons probably won't need to spend as much, but that's just assuming you're talking about the football. If you're talking about me, then don't worry about it, mate. I'm set for life, personally speaking, as long as I'm dead by Friday. So that's it for this week, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to both Hammer's Chat channels. It's this one and the other one. And I think they've got plenty coming up this week. I think they're doing a deadline day thing for the transfer window. I think that anyway. And there's lots of other stuff on, and I pop up occasionally on the other channels. So do subscribe to that, as I say. And oh yeah, don't forget, if you've got any questions, drop them below or send me a message via Twitter at WHUMate, or drop a comment below. If you enjoyed it, say thumbs up, and thanks for watching. Now, we play Liverpool on Sunday. I won't be going because I couldn't get a ticket, but I will be watching it on TV. Yay! And I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be a great start to the season. I suspect we're going to lose, but hey, as long as we play well, I'll be happy with that. And until next Monday, when we'll be looking back at that game and all else that's happened this week, come on, you Irons. If you can't beat them, join them.